Hello everyone, I am Hacklebeast, and this is week 3 of Gambit Cup number 3, sponsored by Prowler and Minus Eagle. Big thanks to them. First matchup of the day will be SJ's Terror versus IFU's Splax. In the top left position is IFU Splax as the yellow Protoss, and in the bottom left is SJ's Terror as the orange Terran. Alright. Yet more people sending me messages. It's like when I turn my stream on the sidebar, people see my name and it's like, oh yeah, I totally meant to be talking to Hacklebeast. Now would be a really opportune time to do that. There's nothing I need to respond to. I got a game to focus on. Splax versus Terror. Has Terror been the ace player for SJ? I know he was week 1, but I can't quite remember if he was week 0. Obviously, Terror, very good Terran player, aggressive Terran player, and as far as I know, he's been really active in the gap between 2 and 3, so he should have a good season. But I say should. SJ has started out 0-2. In quite the shocker. I don't think anybody expected them to go 0-2. I mean, their team really is a mystery, because they have so many big names, but so many inactive names, that it's kinda hard to tell exactly how they're gonna do in the league. But 0-2, certainly not. Where one of those losses was to Fox. Karate's just a beast. Not a whole lot more to say, but going up against IFU, normally, I would say that SJ has the advantage here, but given how SJ hasn't performed so far, how IFU has been putting up some good matches, they didn't necessarily win versus LRM, but they played a really close series using a not exactly their best roster. I don't think that's tight. Right? Maybe it is tight. He had to lift it up to let the SCV out. I didn't know you could wall like this as Terran. I guess there aren't a lot of TVPs on this map. That and Terrans don't wall as often as I think they should. Walling is so good. It is. Walling is ridiculously good. Anyway, Terror's just going for siege oh, excuse me, no. Terror is, Terror's gonna go for 1 Rex expand, getting the siege after that. So still, standard stuff from him. Splax, getting Goon and then range. He did not opt for Zealot first, so his aggression is gonna be a little bit slow. Actually, with Terror building the wall here, I'm not sure if he wants to build the bunker. The factory won't be too far off, but I think that Splax might, whoa. Did you all see that? That SCV just like glided sideways through the cybercore and the assimilator. That SCV was styling all over that Dragoon. It's like, man, I have some of the worst acceleration of any ground unit, but I can still run laps around you sideways. How does that work? Because it only has rocket thrusters in the back? I don't know. But it can go sideways. SCV doesn't in fact go out. Okay, so Terror will be building the bunker out here. You know what? This is why walls are good. This is why walls are good, because you can just lift it off and replace the wall when you want to throw down the bunker here. A lot of times you do see Terrans who will build the wall and then feel that they need to commit to the wall, and then their command center will be hiding behind it, and the Dragoons come and they'll be able to slow down that expansion going down. But when you do it like Terror did, it does not hurt you at all to have that barracks up there in case of early Zealot aggression, and then when nothing comes, just put it up here. Put it next to the bunker. I like this a lot. That's just one of the really small things. It's such a small thing to build walls like that, but there's no reason not to. Looks like our very stylish SCV came back for one more attempt, but unfortunately not going to be able to side his way out of that one. Anyway, no, Goon Rage is done, and Splax will be rallying in some... Oh? Oh! Elegant's here now! Elegant is here now. It's too late to bring him in for this game, but we will bring him in for next game. I'm glad he decided to show up. I'm glad he could find it in his busy schedule to co-cast with me for all of you. What can I say, man? He's a European rock star. He's spending too much time playing the gigs and giving the fangirls attention. We're just lucky we could get him. So, Siege mode's done, and Terra managed to do it with 2 SCVs. Splax's 3rd Dragoon was a little bit late there, but if he had been able to bring that 3rd Goon up, he would have at least forced Terra to pull an extra SCV. Would have delayed mining a little bit more. And again, that falls under the category of is a very small thing to delay mining on 1 SCV for a little while, but no reason not to. Absolutely no reason not to. Anyway, Splax is playing very safely here. He went Observatory first, already has his expansion down. Get the Observers out for when Terror inevitably gets mines, and ooh. Now this is an interesting move from Terror. Terror going for a very fast 3rd, which is totally possible on this map. As you can see, completely guarded. He's even going to build a missile turret back here, so that he can see if Reavers, I guess, were breaking down the back. Really, that's the only reasonable unit that could be breaking down the back. Dragoons are does take too long. Archons, it could be Archons too. But the point is, you'll be able to see when they're breaking down the back, have plenty of time to get a siege tank up there, and the siege tank will be able to stop anything at all from taking that down. And he gets this command center up. Now, mineral onlys in TVP, not always the best thing, but for Terror, I like this idea a lot. Terror, a player known for his vultures, known for making lots and lots of vultures, and obviously when you have an extra expansion like this, you are able to make even more vultures, almost losing the Observer, 2 hits away on that. But good job by Splax. He did pull it back before the first hit, so he was paying attention with the Observer, and if he hadn't, the Observer would have died. Now that's a little bit interesting, laying mines up here too. And in Supply Depot. While this is going to be very hard for Dragoons to get through, if Terror is playing it as defensively as it seems he wants to, Dragoons can still snipe this. It's pretty easy, just put the Observer here and then Dragoons step out and take it out. So, I don't know why he has so many things back here. But... so, maybe he got DT rushed in a practice game and DT's like glitched through the back. I'm pretty sure you can glitch DT through the back. This is obviously one of the harder glitches to get through because it's such a deep glitch and it's so easy to pop out the side. But it's possible. And 2 mines would completely shut that down. Even a 3rd mine here. So, Splax getting his Stargate now and getting his Templar Archive, so he's going to go for relatively fast Arbiters. Not quite 2-phase Arbiters, as he does have his 3rd base up, but it just finished. He hasn't made any probes over. Just doing that now. A little bit from both bases, it's good. And a shuttle is out. Now that's interesting. That shuttle is out way too early for Templar drops. He does not have the gas to be supporting getting Storm at this point, assuming that he continues up the Arbiter tech tree. So, I think we're looking at a little bit of elevator action here. And Terror just continues to put supply depots up here. Like, this is actually starting to be a pretty big liability. There is no reason at all Splax can't put some Dragoons right here and snipe the 3 supply depots. It's not as if anything else is going on in the game. It's not as if Terror is threatening to push out at any time. Oh man. This is so Terror. 10 factories, 2 machine shops. I love it. I love it, man. This is the way Terror does it. See, normally it's 8 factories, 2 machine shops. But now that he has the extra mineral only, tack on a couple extra factories. Not a problem. Just spam out some more vultures. Now this is a little surprising that Terror hasn't been aggressive with his vultures quite yet. He was going to be a little bit delayed on the upgrades, but still, for him only trying to get his mines out, we saw how early he had mines just based on the ones he placed here. But he could have been doing that a lot earlier. It's not as if Splax was having any kind of presence with the Dragoons. Not that Terror would know, but still, even if there was a presence with the Goons, the vultures should be out and about laying mines. It looks like they're going to be scoping out these expansions. This is the expansion. I don't know if that's tight. I think it is. But diagonal pylons can be a bit funny at times. And it certainly doesn't look like it's vulture tight. But I'm pretty sure it is. Alright. Terror moving out. Pushing out just after +1 finishes. Probably won't get +2 for quite a while, just because he needs the science facility and the starport. Hasn't even started the starport, and if he wants to continue with the tank production, continue with other stuff, he won't have the gas. Depending on how many Goliaths he wants. Alright. Unsuccessful shuttle bombs. Terror doing a good job of keeping the vultures around with the siege tanks. He is going a bit slowly. I mean, this is the closest Splax goons are. So, Terror really could be pushing forward. And he doesn't have a whole lot of scan at this point. He has a little bit of scan, but he can't be afford to waste it just looking for army positioning at this point in the game. He might be better off sending just one vulture forward, just to get a position of the goon, so he doesn't have to go as slowly. But now he certainly has found the opponent's forces, throwing away the shuttle with all the zealots in it, and that was going to be a huge thing that could take out this tank force. It is looking a little dire for Splax. He really does need that Arbiter. With no science vessel, there we go. The Arbiter's now out. With no science vessel, this Arbiter is going to be a bit of a pain to deal with. And there are no mines down for Terror, but Terror just has so many units at this point in the game that early third base really showing why it's a positive thing in this matchup, and he has lost no tanks, so he's just been constantly producing tanks off of 2 factories ever since he got them up. And he is going to be able to push back Splax, but Splax did make a pretty big dent. A lot of vultures did go down, got some tanks as well, kept most of the goons alive, but certainly not going to take long for Terror to get more vultures up, because he has 8 factories without machine shops. And I am absolutely not saying that in a condescending way at all. Like, I'm not saying that this is bad. I think that this is really cool to have 8 factories without machine shops and only 2 with. And it so suits Terror's style of just being really aggressive with the vultures. He hasn't really been as aggressive with the vultures as he normally is, and certainly not as aggressive as the style would indicate. But just the style in and of itself, I like it a lot. Terror has blown up the science vessels, excuse me, the side disruptors, not science vessels, the side disruptors, and is now bearing down on Splax's main. Certainly going to be able to snipe the Arbiter Tribunal. That's kind of in an awkward place, and oh, this is not where you want to engage a Terran siege force. Those goons need to run away. They need to run away. Oh no. Oh no, there are zealots though. There's zealots coming up from behind. Are the zealots going to be enough? They did clear out all the vultures. There weren't quite enough vulture reinforcements, and it looks like this will in fact be enough with the zealot reinforcements. Some reinforcements coming in from Terror, but those need to back up now because they don't have any tank support. Why are there so many Goliaths? Why? I guess he just got unlucky and built a round of Goliaths here. Percentage-wise, he definitely should not have this many Goliaths in his army. But when there's only 3 goons, the Goliaths aren't that bad. The stasis is going to come undone, and those 4 tanks are really going to help out. It's unfortunate that Splax was not able to kill them. And he is very happy to have those now. The Arbiter Tribunal is unpowered, but that's not going to stop him from getting out another one if he starts it immediately. If he starts it immediately, the Arbiter will continue building. Yes, he does manage to get it in. Very nice by Splax to be able to get that one last Arbiter, because who knows how long it's going to be before he manages to get another Tribunal up. But Splax coming now in to kill. I'm surprised he didn't come in with this way from the Zealots originally. I think that would have been a better attacking path than up here. He did lose a lot of Zealots in the process, but it worked out for him in the end. Now coming from the better angle, and he's going to be able to clear up all the tanks on the high ground. The Goliaths are just not in the correct position, and he's continuing to build more of them. I guess Terror really likes this Goliath-heavy style, which I find quite interesting. Goliaths just take so much damage from goons, because goons do the full 20, but aren't able to do a whole lot of damage to them in response. And it looks like Terror's aggression is done. He did manage to snipe the Arbiter Tribunal, and that's nice, but that's the kind of push that could have ended the game if he got a little bit better of engagements. There have been really so few mines in this game from Terror. I'm not happy about that at all. Terror, this is the purpose of getting that many vultures. You just want mines everywhere and constantly be laying them down and laying them down and laying them down. But Terror just, for how many vultures he has, there's hardly an excuse for not having the mine presence around the map. Hopefully now that he lost that first push, he can refocus and start laying around more mines. But these vultures are actually going to be really dangerous. They're enough. They can take out pylons. They can take out pylons pretty quickly. Here comes the army from Splax coming in. There is an observer. So the mines won't get the Dragoons. But new bases are going up for Splax. Hidden Expo in the corner. Also one top right. It does look like Terror has discovered the top right one. And with a siege tank, it shouldn't be too hard for him to take out the cannons. Ooh. Supply depot. Interesting. Is he going to try to wall in here? Huh. Anyway, Splax apparently has lost his... Oh no! Oh no! Maynarding into mines. Apparently he lost his observer, because the observer is no longer with this army, and it seems to really be messing him up here. He is! He is totally just walling in this position. Interesting. It's going to give the... It's going to buy the siege tanks some time. Got off an extra mine hit because the Dragoons went a little bit too far to the right. Is it enough time to take out the Nexus? No, it's not enough time to take out the Nexus, though. It will be enough time to take out all the probes. There's one Vulture back here that is racking up a lot of kills, already up at 8, and will continue to get the last 2. But the Nexus does remain. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, good. There's an observer. Ah, okay. That observer sees. Kind of. I mean, he's still gonna lose the Zealots. But, if Terror doesn't realize there's a bottom base down here, Splax could be in a really good position. So many vultures. Now, when you go for a style like this, and you build a lot of vultures, it works out really well, unless you lose your initial tank count. If you're just producing off of 2 factories, and keep adding to it, and adding to it, and adding to it, you'll still have a great tank count, even off of only 2 machine shops. But since Terror lost his initial push, now he's going to be in this kind of problem, where he does not have a very balanced army. It's going to be obviously very vulture heavy, and his tank count will constantly be a hindrance to him. Oh, very well placed mines. Those are some new mines, because the Dragoons had cleared them out before. And that's going to slow them down, give Terror an opportunity to get into this base, and as long as he can keep his tanks alive, keep them unstasised, Terror might be able to win the game with this attack. It's kind of an interesting composition with so many vultures and so few tanks, but as long as 6 tanks stay alive, 6 tanks may be all he needs. Yet more mines over here. There are observers with the army, but these mines are slowing them down. I'm glad Terror's finally trying to lay down mines, and you can see just some of the stuff they're doing. This army has managed to get so much progress before Splax has been able to engage properly, just purely because of mines. Also because they were a bit out of position out in the middle of the map, but really because of the mines. Despite the fact that they were out of position, they would have been able to get back pretty quickly if it wasn't for them. More mine hits on the Dragoons, laying more mines in the base, so even when this push is cleaned up, Splax is going to have to worry about taking more mine hits. He does have observers, but it's possible he could take some big ones. No, he'll be able to clean this up. And the tank shouldn't be an issue when they come under stasis, but still, took out the natural, took out lots of probes, did damage over on this side in the process. It's part of the reason why the army was so out of position, and now attacking this side. This is the reckless aggression of Terror, and it's looking really strong right now. Splax is put completely on the defensive, and Protoss playing defensively against Terran is never a good thing. That Nexus is going to go down. That reduces Splax to just 3 mining bases, but Terror still doesn't know about this one. So Terror thinks he's a bit farther ahead than he really is at this point. Terror needs to be a bit careful about getting overconfident. More supply depots. Yeah, still questioning that one. But Nexus does go down. Vultures coming over on this side. They're able to take out the cannon. And the Vultures will be able to take out the Nexus as well. That means Splax is on 2. Excuse me, on 1. This one's mined out. It's been mined out for a little while now. Splax is on just one mining base. I don't know if Terror realizes it. Splax is sending a whole lot of Dragoons down to that side of the map. But Terror is not sending a force himself. Finally, Terror has some science vessels. Science vessel tech was definitely delayed going with the build he wanted to. I don't know if he has EMP. I would imagine if he got it, it's research. So the science facilities lifted up. And that didn't sound... That sounded really stupid. What I meant to say was, I imagine that if he wanted EMP, it would be done now, instead of in the process of researching. So we really don't know. He's not landing any off. There are some pretty good opportunities on the goons. At the same time, really no arbiters either, so a little bit of a wash. Yeah, I mean, the hidden base is keeping Splax in the game technically, but realistically, Terror's just going to be able to overwhelm him. Terror has now double the supply. Almost double the supply. Even D-making a tank. Because he can. For no other reason than because he can. Is he long distance mining? Splax is long distance mining from his natural. That's just kind of sad. Terror finally realizing there is a base down here, and gonna be able to take it out. And I do believe that this game is pretty wrapped up for Terror. I have a hard time imagining Splax could come back in this one. 1/4 of the supply. Well, 1/3 of the supply anyway. 1/3 of the supply, no mining bases, trying to reestablish the natural. Is he gonna be able to stop down the base from Terror? Is he? SCVs are going to repair, and vultures are coming up from behind. Dragoon's trying to avoid, but there's gonna be... Ooh, that mine hit could have been a lot worse if it targeted the different goon. And no, they won't quite get the command center down either. The mass repair a little bit too strong for Splax here, and Splax is throwing away the rest of his army on this attack. That ultimately will not take out the command center. The upgrade's obviously not in Splax's favor either. 1-0 just compared to 2-1. And Terror should be able to win this with one final push as his army moves across the map. We are certainly in a move territory. Just back of the base. Everything will be fine. I don't think Splax has any arbiters still. Ah, there we go. He has one arbiter. With not enough energy to stasis. Alright, so final army for Splax. Even an EMP going down on Splax's entire army at this point pretty much. GG from Splax. Terror will be taking game number 1. And just confirming that Elegant is still here? Yes, he is. Alright, we will get this guy in. Why is it not ringing? Ah, there we go. Hello?
Hello, Beast.
Glad you could join us.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I cannot apologize enough for being late, but there it is. You're right, I was far too busy being a rock star. It's a hard life. Yeah.
QWER.
Alright, I'm on my way. I'm in. Sorry to all the viewers as well, by the way, who had to, listen to Hacklebeast by himself. It's such a trial, but he made it through.
It's a fate worse than death.
Thank you for sticking around. Yeah, we're good to go.
Alright.
I mean, I'm not usually late. Usually I'm boom right there, but today I messed up. I messed up. Let's do it.
Alright, game number 2 of SJ versus IFU. Terror has taken game number 1. But IFU has a pretty deep roster, so who will they send out next? It's going to be IFU EX.
Yeah, looks like it.
IFU EX.
That's interesting. Does he have any AKAs that I might know? Because I don't really recognize him. very strongly.
I don't either. I'm actually looking up in the Gambit thread right now if he is listed as EX. But IFU EX is the teal Terran on the left side, and SJ Terror will be the red Terran on the right side, and no, he's just listed as EX.
Wow,
And he is
okay,
Russian.
yeah. I honestly can't say I really know of him. I mean, I recognize the name, but he doesn't particularly ring a bell as having played in many tournaments so far, so maybe someone we'll see a bit more of. Yeah, maybe he's working his way up to the top echelons, which would be all very, very well and good. More Terrans are, of course, always welcome.
Yeah, we have a TBT on Chain Reaction again.
Who'd have thought it?
Terror has some bad memories of this map, a la week 1.
Yeah.
That's so weird that this map, like the map that is by far worst for Terran of all the maps, other than Outlier, like the second worst map for Terran, we have 2 TVTs on so far.
It's kind of like a gentleman's agreement. So they all just said, right, we don't want any silly stuff to happen. So how about we both put out Terran and just, make this a fair fight. It's just, yeah, gentleman's agreement. We'll call it that between these two teams. So, okay, both players doing this funky barracks positioning for some kind of floating action, I can only imagine.
Yep.
And exactly simultaneous timing so far. Well, not quite exactly. It seems that somehow X, or EX, or whatever on earth we're going to call him, has got a couple of seconds ahead. Which I always enjoy, seeing that kind of thing going on, because I can never quite explain it. I mean, where has he got that couple of seconds from? Where has he pulled them from?
I believe it's because Terror sent out the earlier scout, as his scout's already halfway across the map, and EX is just starting now. As you said, the barracks are placed in odd positions, just because obviously no Marines are going to be needed to be, or no Marines will be needed to be made in this matchup. So you can just lift.
We've got one from X.
Well, one. Not many Marines, is what I'm trying to say. Not many Marines produced in this matchup, so produce one and then immediately lift it off, and you can get the float over to your opponent's base even quicker. And you do need one Marine just to chase out the scout and the SCV in most cases. Occasionally, you can build more in case your opponent is doing something funky, but I'm actually a little bit surprised to see both players building a second Marine, given that they both have the scout off and can see that their opponent isn't cheesing.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised. I mean, what could that really be in aid of? I struggle to understand that, because obviously both of them are going straight up to factories, so the Marines are going to be pretty useless any second now. It must be just to flush out the scouts a little bit more efficiently, I suppose. But yeah, he's still not managing to really do that. He's got 2 Marines chasing the scouts around. He might be able to corner it now. It looks like he might not. The scout's going to escape for a little bit longer. But yeah, I rack my brains to think of any other really good use for making the 2 Marines instead of just the 1.
It's fine. Looks like EX will be able to pick off Terror's scout, while his own scout will be returning home. So, a little bit nice for him. And we'll have to see, at this point, where both players' builds go now. I would assume that Terror is going to go for more factory-heavy play once again. He is getting the faster, or not the faster expo, excuse me, a fast expo, at the same timing as EX. But as for EX, I'm not sure exactly what his plan is. He is getting the machine shop now, so it's not likely that he'll go starport after machine shop. Probably just going to stick on the ground.
Yeah, whereas on the other hand, for Terra, he looks like he might be ready to make a second factory. Indeed, he is, but that is, of course, after his expansion, so a slightly later second factory. So it's a little bit conservative for him, a little bit conservative for both of them, and they really are just kind of matching each other pretty much blow for blow right now. We've got a machine shop, obviously, for X, where we have none for Terra, but nonetheless, he still seems to be producing a vulture. So both these guys still precisely mirroring each other, with Terra's first 2 vultures heading out, but they might get headed off at the ramp. It all depends on his micro, but no, choosing to pull back instead. Might be able to push the issue a little bit, but looks like he won't be able to, since the second vulture comes out and actually loses one of his vultures very, very easily. He's going to lose the second one as well, so that's both of his vultures going down at this early stage, and that's quite a severe disadvantage, so he's going to find himself under a little bit of pressure momentarily.
Yep, and immediately EX is going to be looking to respond with his own 2 vultures. Terror does have 2 vultures out now, though, so I assume EX will hit the same brick wall Terror did, managing to get one of his vultures out. And interestingly, Terror is continuing to build vultures. He has built 6 vultures now before getting the machine shop, and he is getting a 3rd factory before machine shop. Now this is a very peculiar TVT build, because getting lots of vultures isn't very common, but it's certainly not the rarest thing in the world, and vultures can be nice to lay down a lot of mines, get some map control, even if it's not going to hit as much as it is in TVP matchup. But he can't get mines without the machine shop. He is just going to be flooding, and absolutely flooding, vultures and Goliaths.
Yeah, and that's going to be really... I don't know,
Tanks are a pretty good counter to vultures and Goliaths with no mines.
They are, but I'm kind of mulling this over in my head and kind of vaguely comparing it to PvP, because that's obviously what I know best, and just thinking of how the mass zealot flood can work, and this may work in actually a similar kind of way, just simply outmassing your opponent to that extent. Not sure how well it's going to work, but that could be his angle.
Well, difference is zealots do 14 damage to tanks, vultures do 4.
Vultures do pretty much nothing. Yeah, the Goliaths are there for that though, so I suppose the Goliaths are good. This is going to be very, very interesting. We are going to have tanks coming out, we are going to have siege mode happening for Terra as well. So it's not all bad, just as siege mode finishes for EX, Terra's is starting.
If EX does siege up in a really bad position, this could be a good engagement for Terra. There's obviously not a whole lot of stuff out from EX, and with speed vultures, is he getting speed or mines first? He's getting siege mode first.
Yeah, he's getting siege mode first.
Okay.
There's another machine shop on the way, so there's going to be a second variety of upgrade happening any minute now. That'll be incredibly exciting for all of us. I'm going to keep my cursor over it just to see what it's going to be. And how he's going to counter this, which is going to be coming out from EX. But it looks like EX is happy to just hold his position for the time being, so both players being quite passive. Terra looking slightly more ready to go on the move. And he is doing so. This is going to be interesting. I don't think he can push up that ramp. In fact, I'm certain he can't push up that ramp, because there is, of course, siege mode finished for EX. I think he might just be pushing out to try and save his barracks. I wouldn't imagine he's going to try and go too much further than that, because I think it would be wandering into the jaws of death if he were to do so.
We both assumed that Terra would be going for some kind of odd attack, just because of the order he built his factories, but it doesn't look like Terra wants to be particularly aggressive. Which is a little bit confusing, because as you can see, EX now has a huge tank advantage over Terror.
Yeah.
And that's just so valuable in this early game. I'm not sure if Terror's decision to get that 3rd factory will be worth it. I don't see how these Goliaths are going to be terribly effective. EX does have a dropship out, so there's certainly a lot of opportunity for good dropship harass on this map. Not, actually, excuse me, that is a tankable cliff, if I remember correctly. So, tankable cliff there.
Is? Yes, it is.
And then, obviously, behind the main, so many different angles into the main. Very easy to drop some vultures down and get 8 SCV kills before Terror has a chance to react.
Yeah, it's one of those mains with high ground pretty much all the way, actually literally all the way around the outside of it, so it's very, very easy to get, if you can get a dropship over to that side of the map, to find a nice little spot for yourself and just drop some stuff directly in. You've got a good window of time before you actually get noticed. The barracks is getting shot down right now for EX, so he's going to need to rebuild a building, because this will give Terra the slight advantage, of course, just for the time being, but given that no player is being aggressive still, it doesn't matter hugely. But yeah, just a slight edge there to Terra in any impending engagements, though there seems to be none. 2 dropships having flown out and now flying back. Did they get spotted on the way over?
No, they did not. They just turned around. Maybe EX is feeling the pressure of Terror kind of bearing down a little bit. Terror is kind of exerting his map control.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess he doesn't want to be to let Terra get too good of a position. It looks like Terra's actually going to start leapfrogging stuff into EX's base, and this is a smart move, because we see how he can cover himself very, very nicely from behind this cliff, and he can just continue popping units in if he wants, but he might fall prey to these dropships. I don't know quite why EX decided to drop them there, because he took a lot of hits and has lost a fair number of units on the way in, but he is able to clear out that small number of units in his main base, if only briefly. We have another dropship coming in, which might go down immediately. So almost going down, but very, very narrow escape for the dropship of Terra, and once again pushed out to the edges of EX's base, and the starport's going to go down. And Terra is taking this engagement very, very handily. So many tank losses right now for EX, and the starport going down as well means he's going to lose vision very soon. He's lost all of the tanks there in the main, except for one, and GG from EX.
Oh. EX made a miscalculation there. He thought that since he could see with the starport that Terror's dropship was really far back, so he thought that if he siege mode up, if he got his tanks in siege mode, he'd be able to do a lot of damage to Terror. But he forgot Terror had scan, or thought that the scan wouldn't be as effective as it is.
That was brutal. I mean, what a miscalculation that was. The game just instantly turned on its head. I mean, not that he was in a fantastic position anyway. The map was not split in his favour, but it all went pretty pear-shaped pretty rapidly.
Alright, game is hosted.
I'm hearing I'm getting static, by the way. Would it be worth me trying to change my mic and seeing if that makes any difference? Maybe.
The static comes and goes. It's certainly an annoyance, but it doesn't make you inaudible or anything like that. I don't know how many options you have and how easy it is for you to cycle through, so only you can make that decision, Elegant.
Alright, give me 1 second, I'll just swap my mic over. Very quickly.
Alright. So, game number 3, Terror looking rather strong in the first 2 games, but I don't think either Splax or EX was quite up to Terror's caliber. But IFU still has Must. IFU still has SPX.
Is this any better, this microphone, or is it still static?
It's not static, but it's horribly echoey. It's definitely better before.
Alright, I'll change it back to the other one.
Alright. I just kind of made that decision for the chat. I hope they all agreed with me, but I definitely think you were better before.
Okay, I'll stick with this. It's fine. Someone's saying I should use push to talk, but I can't actually find push to talk in Skype, so I'm just gonna forget about that.
All right, let's forget about that indeed. Moving into game number 3. In the top position, we have SJ's Terror as the White Terran returning, looking for 3 kills now. And in the bottom left, we have... Eon Zerg as the purple Zerg.
Yeah, and now it remains to be seen whether Eon Zerg is able to stop Terra's reign of terror as he charges forward. Go on.
I was laughing at your terrible pun.
Oh yeah, no, it was quite terrible, but yeah, it's allowed. So we'll see if Eon Zerg can halt Terra in his quest to destroy the entirety of IFU. Terra looking pretty strong so far. In game 1, maybe, as you said, he didn't lay as many mines as he could have, didn't make the best of the situation, but he did manage to take it down anyway, of course. And then in game 2, EX just looked completely bamboozled and confused by the whole thing. So we'll see if Eon Zerg is able to bring out any better of a performance here. Going for a bit of the... What was this pool? I didn't quite see the pool timing.
9.
Bit of the 9 pool.
Excuse me, overpool.
Overpool, yeah, I thought at least a bit more like an overpool. Okay, cool. And meanwhile, at the other side of things, we have Terra making up a slightly forward barracks. But it shouldn't be too much of a problem to deal with a 9 pool nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think that given these 2 players, we might get to see one of my favorite matchups in all of StarCraft. 2 Hash Mutalisk versus 2 Fact Volt. I love that matchup. I'm not kidding. I love
surely
that.
Surely the Mutalisk just owns it. Surely.
And yet, that's what you would think. And yet they don't, because the Vultures are faster. And if the Vulture player is good enough, he can still rack up a very large number of drone kills against a 2 Hash Mutalisk player. That is brutal. And at the same time, as long as those vultures are alive, the Mutalisks cannot be aggressive at all. If the vultures are good enough, they can buy the Terran player so much time that I think that there's no build order advantage at all for either player if the Terran player knows what he's doing. And I really like this matchup because it looks like it should be so bad, and yet it's not.
Yeah, I mean, you're clearly very, very keen on the idea of that happening, but there's no guarantee, of course, that we are going to see 2 factory speed vault. By the sound of it, I think I'd enjoy it too. It'd be pretty cool, and I'd actually like to see how it works out, because it just blows my mind a little bit how vultures can beat Mutalisks. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to my StarCraft brain, but...
Well, Terra might have some trouble here, because there's a good number of Lings coming at his base, and he only has...
He's got a bunker.
He's got a bunker, but bunker won't help against a run-by.
Yeah, well, it will help a little bit, but well, actually, it will unhelp.
Oh wow!
Of course, you can't target in a bunker. Oh no! And it doesn't even cover the SCV, which is making the command center. Will he lose the SCV? He will probably lose the SCV. Down goes the SCV. So Terra already feeling a little bit delayed. So you need to get another SCV out there ASAP, because this is turning into quite a nasty delay. His scouting SCV also looks like it might get taken down quite quickly as well, as the lair already happening at the standard timing for our friend Eon Zerg. So it's going to be a pretty fast kind of muta build, not going for the 3rd hatchery, just going straight up for the lair. We may yet see a 3rd hatchery, but probably not. And pretty massive delay on Terra's natural expansion, puts it at about 10 or 20 seconds behind. So already a nice little bit of an edge to the Zerg player.
Yep. The 2-hatch Mutalisk was pretty much a given for Eon Zerg, because it's either this or a Hydralisk all-in the ZVT matchup. Terror wasn't completely sure what he was going to do, and it looks like no, he's gonna get the engineering bay. It's just a little bit late because he went for the expansion first, and he did not build enough Marines.
It looks like he might actually really get caught here. Will he be able to drill properly with the SCVs? He needs to drill much better than that. He just blocked his own Marines briefly. He might be able to hold this. All his Marines have gone down, but SCVs are pretty good. Will they be able to take down the Lings before all the SCVs start dying? 3 SCVs dying simultaneously, but more Lings are coming in. I think Terra has got this. And, no, Terra whoops, bit of a misspeak there. Eon Zerg has got this. Terra GG's out, of course, being completely rinsed out by the Zerglings. And very, very, very quick exit from that game for him. Just improper scouting. And prediction means that he was very easily dealt with indeed by Eon Zerg. And that takes it to 2-1 for SJ, and Eon Zerg will go on to play the next match as well.
Yep. There's a chance there. Terra, I don't like Terra's decision to not make more Marines there, but he still might have been okay if he didn't mess up the drill. The drill went a little bit too far and actually passed a good portion of the Lings, so the drill did not protect the Marines. They just really didn't have a whole lot of effect.
It kind of got in the way for the Marines more than anything, and he really needs to drill a little bit quicker than that. But once the bunker went down, I mean, really, it was going to end up looking pretty bad for the Terran player. SCVs, whilst awesome, can't really deal with that many speedlings when you've got no Marine support whatsoever. I mean, they've got to be used in conjunction with at least a couple of Marines, just to confuse the AI, if nothing else.
All right, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right, game number 4. Whoops. All right, in the bottom left position is Eon Zerg playing as the yellow Zerg. And in the top position is SJ's Napoleon playing as the blue Terran.
Cool. Okay, so another Terran coming out. This is crazy stuff. I mean, it's rare that you get this much Terran, unless of course Karate is playing, in which case you get loads of Terran and then nothing else, because Karate is awesome.
Or Bibian.
Well, Bibian's pretty good as well. Gotta admit.
We're not.
Has that game been casted yet?
Yeah, it's been casted. I don't know.
Bibian's amazing. Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, I got it.
I don't know how much we want to spoil the results of that, but Bibian did pretty well. He did pretty well.
Yeah, I have a bit of man love for Bibian going on right now. Not gonna lie. I'm thinking of getting a little fox flag with Bibian on one side and Karate on another. But that's just conjecture at this point. That might not happen. I might not actually be that sad. But yeah, Terrans are cool, especially Fox Terrans. But Napoleon's pretty good too. Napoleon's pretty good too.
You did a pretty good job there at first. Like, oh yeah, Vivian, I guess. His name's pretty fun to say, if you think about it a little bit. I don't know.
And then you just kind of brought out the inner fanboy and maybe babble about how great Fox is. The answer is pretty great. A bit of banter going on here about these guys. 2v2 really fucks at 1v1. I guess that would be true. It's interesting actually how different the skill sets are between 2v2 and 1v1. I occasionally play 2v2 with my older brother, and he just has to tell me what to do all the way through. It's a bit embarrassing.
Definitely do like some of the players, like the Finitos and the True Touches and the South Parks, who try to play 1v1 like they play 2v2 with mixed results. I do think it's cool. I do think it's cool when you can see a player's 2v2 history really show through in their 1v1 games. And in the case of True Touch and South Park, be top tier players.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. 2v2, like, you know Jan. Jan always really blew me away in 2v2, and he was obviously always a really good 2v2 player, and I think he's actually playing again now. But then I saw him play 1v1, and I don't know, he wasn't as good as I was expecting him to be, which was kind of gutting. But never mind, we have a very fast second racks happening here from Napoleon, so it looks like he's going to really try and heap on the pressure, and it all depends whether Eonzer can really be wise to this. He might get these links straight up the ramp, so this could actually be a little bit of a questionable defense situation for Napoleon. He's going to have to pull more SCVs, and he is in fact doing that. So out come the SCVs. This is definitely going to get seen. He has 4 Marines, so he should be able to hold this, but he is going to lose 1, 2. Oh my god, and he might lose the final Marine as well. So once again, Eon Zerg's Zergling shenanigans looking really super good on that last Marine. Might go down. This is going to be seriously bad stuff for Napoleon. If these last 2 Marines go down, 1 remaining, and that will die as well. So he's now lost like 6 or so Marines to just a handful of links. He hasn't dealt well with this at all, and he was not prepared. He did not have guys on the ramp. He needed extra SCVs on the ramp to make this safe, and now this 2-racks pressure is almost definitely going to come to nothing because it's been scouted and it's been pretty much already dealt with by Eon Zerg with just a few early Zerglings. Nothing particularly out of the ordinary, but just Napoleon wasn't properly prepared.
That was a pretty bad mistake by Napoleon. He had an SCV on the ramp for a good amount of time, then moved it out to go scout. When he saw the Zerglings, he definitely would have been able to bring the SCV back, put it on the ramp, and really make it harder for Eon Zerg to get up the ramp. Even if he might have been able to do it in the end, but he would have only had a couple links afterwards. But instead, the SCV was a little bit too slow. A couple of links got by, and you saw the result.
Yeah, it all went downhill from there. I mean, but you just have to be more prepared than that. He just... I don't know why he wasn't better prepared, really. I mean, I don't know why I didn't see it coming. I guess, was it lucky scouting? Did Eon Zerg check bottom right and top right before he went there, or did he just send his links to an adjacent location?
He saw with the Overlord. I'm pretty sure he saw something with the Overlord and pulled it back.
Okay, because there could only really be reasonable explanation for Napoleon not defending better if he knew that the Zerg hadn't scouted him, but...
the Overlord does have bigger vision range than the SCV or the Marine, so it's possible that Eon Zerg managed to get see Napoleon and not the other way around, but...
Overlord vision range is epic. It's like an entire screen.
And upgradable.
I never take time out to appreciate that, but it's ridiculous. Like, when you have a shuttle or a Corsair flying along or something and you think, oh, I wonder if the Overlord's seen it. Of course the Overlord's seen it. If you can see the Overlord, he can see you, and then a little bit more on top of that, because Overlords see everything. They're like Sauron. They're amazing. and now the Marines are doing their pushing out thing, but he should have more Marines behind this. This really isn't going to be enough at all, and there's going to be 3 Sunkens ready and waiting for him, and maybe a 4th Sunken as well. Unnecessary, maybe. I think 3 Sunkens would definitely be able to deal with this, but it doesn't hurt to be a little bit safe when you have got yourself a substantial lead. As Eon Zerg already has a Spy now up as well. So interestingly enough, he actually didn't save up any lava at all and got himself slightly supply block maybe as well, so having to pop out another Overlord, possibly not at the best time. And it looks like Napoleon's actually going to try and go for this. He's going to try and break the 3 Sunkens, and Eonzerg is having to pull the drones off the line. This might actually work for Napoleon, but another Sunken popping just in time means that Napoleon is probably actually going to have to pull back, and he will have to pull back after killing a Sunken colony and just 1 drone. So probably not really worth it for him, and now his unit count's looking a little bit questionable for dealing with these Mutalisks, and he of course doesn't have an expansion yet as well, so his economy not looking too fantastic either, and he needs missile turrets up ASAP because he will not be able to deal with the Mutas that are coming his way with Marines alone, especially not after losing so many of them in that engagement and the previous engagement at the beginning of the game.
A couple things to point out. I think that engagement could have not gone as badly for Napoleon as it did if once the drones were pulled, I think he tried to target fire the drones, and it didn't quite work out for him. It was clear he wasn't going to be able to get through 4 Sunken colonies, but if he had target fired the drones like I think he wanted to, then he would have been able to get a good number of drone kills, and he wouldn't be this far behind. He'd be in an okay position. And the other thing I wanted to point out was 4 Sunken colonies is usually excessive, but when Eonzerg had the 3 Sunken colonies, he didn't put them in a line. He had them in a little L shape, or a reverse backwards L shape. But the point was that Napoleon could have attacked 1 Sunken, while the other 2 were unable to attack, if he positioned his Marines right. So I think Eonzerg did have to throw down that 4th Sunken colony, just because the first one was not in a good position. But that's just my take on it.
That may well be the case. I find it quite interesting to see the base layout from Napoleon. While it looks maybe a little bit weird, like sticking all this stuff in the middle, it works out really well because you force the Mutas onto level ground, but it doesn't really work if you're sitting over a cliff, and this way the Mutas can really start to excel. So he should pull back, make the best of his position he's managed to build for himself with the missile turrets as well. I'm not quite sure how he's going to get out to his natural though, unless there's some pretty serious Mutalisk miscontrol. It's going to be a while before he can make an expansion. Fortunately, Eonzerg not showing too much intent in that direction either, though he does have the Lurksec on the way, so presumably once he's set up maybe some kind of contain, or at least a solid lurk defense, he'll be feeling comfortable to push out and take a 3rd, and it all depends on how well these Mutalisks do as well, because of course this is quite a Mutalisk dependent build. The 2 hatchery Mutalisk means that you need to do some damage. Unless he does some damage, he's going to find himself maybe a little bit overwhelmed with the Marine count.
I can't see the buildings. I don't know if Eonzerg has seen the factory, but given that Napoleon's going for some ridiculously fast tech here, a lurker transition seems like a really poor idea from Eonzerg.
Yeah. He doesn't have the count, he doesn't have the unit count, I think, to back this up, really.
I mean, and the lurkers may very well work out. I'm saying it's a poor idea just because Mutalisks are such a good idea. Like, he could definitely win if he just continued with Mutalisks, I think. I think he could win if he just continued with Mutalisks. He gets a 3rd base up, bottom right, then techs to Hive and does normal Zerg stuff. But I think the lurker transition's a little bit risky here. He needs to be careful about not allowing them to go down. But with the first tank already out, I think it's going to be pretty hard to defend him at the same time.
Yeah, I think you're right, and the lurkers are now pushing in. He does, of course, have scouts, so these lurkers can actually get taken out quite easily unless they're used well in conjunction with the Mutalisks. A couple of Mutalisks going down straight away. Napoleon's positioning is good. This bunker might get up, but it looks like he's actually cancelled that bunker and might try to build one further back. He's going back up his ramp. Don't know if that's necessary. I think he was in actually a halfway decent position, but the 4 lurkers there, I think, just made him feel a little bit too nervous, so he decided to pull back. A lot of Mutalisks went down in that engagement, though, and now with siege tanks up, I don't find these lurkers to be a threat at all, and like you say, I do find it to be a little bit of a misstep trying to get the snipe off on that tank, but he simply does not have the Mutalisk count, and that tank will last pretty much unscathed through those first few hits.
Yep, and the lurkers will be forced back a little bit. The Marines are coming down. 2 lurkers are gone. 3 lurkers are gone.
3.
And the last one is just a little out of range of that siege tank. It's a couple screens away, but just barely out of range.
It's mad, isn't it? I mean, siege tank range, I've gone on about it before, but it surprised me every time I see it. It's up there with Overlord range. You just see it from an impartial point of view, and you're like, what? How is that even happening? How is that even possible? But I think Eonzerg, I'm not sure about how he's played this. His position just looks a little bit too tenuous. I know that Zerg is always on the edge at this stage of the game, but this looks a little bit too on the edge for my taste. I think he could have played this a little bit safer, maybe, and just stuck with Mutalisks. As soon as the radiate happens as well, I mean, those beastlists are going to be completely finished. It's a nice marine split, means he only loses 3 for 1 lurker. And all those original lurkers are now pushed back out of the natural, with 5 now coming up and taking up a backup position outside the natural. So Eon Zerg is going to be holding on with a pretty minimal force right here while he tries to get some decent tech up. The Hive is now about 2/3 of the way done, and his third base is just starting to pump drones as well. So his position is about to get better if he can hold on.
That science vessel's a little bit far forward, and Eon Zerg has some Scourge coming in. The science vessel has pulled back. Definitely needs to be careful to not lose that science vessel to the Scourge, because really science vessel is what's allowing him to make this push right now. And I mean, you're kind of seeing why lurkers were a little bit of a questionable decision, because he was only on 2 hatch worth of economy, and the science vessel does go down. Because he was only on 2 hatches of economy, he just doesn't have the unit count to really make lurkers work the way he wants to. There's absolutely no Zergling support. I don't think he's made any Mutalisks since he started making lurkers. No, and he does have Hive up now, but I think he has like 8 lurkers. And that is his entire army at this point, and that's a scary position to be in. And if he can keep the science vessels alive, that is getting another hit on him.
Yeah, those science vessels are living a very, very risky life. I mean, the first one went down a little bit easily, and there are a couple more. Oh no, damn it. The Scourge coming in, dealing with the science vessel, siege tanks wandering forward. But this is careless stuff from Napoleon. We all know how important those science vessels are. If he had a radiate right now, then it can be making a really big difference to his push. He should have another science vessel popping out momentarily, but still, 3 science vessels is much better than 1. I think anybody can tell you that. And he's been careless on that front. But he still can maybe make his way around these lurkers. Not sure whether he'd want to. It's all about whether he could hold his natural at the same time against the lurker backstab. But he could theoretically make his way around, at least with a strike force Marines, head down to the bottom right and maybe snipe out that Nidus before Eon Zerg was able to do anything about it, just possibly.
Yeah, those lurkers definitely are hard to see. The scans going down, and because of where they're burrowed, I'm not sure if Napoleon can really get a good count, but they are all unburrowing now and trying to get into a better position. There is a science vessel once again. He doesn't even need a radiate. The tanks are going to be able to clear up that number of lurkers quick enough on their own. But now, finally, the Defilers are out.
Too long. Yeah, this is taking too long. Consume is done, so those Defilers are now going to be very, 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 very strong. Losing a lot of lurkers all the way up, but there is the first Dark Swarm. But no lurkers survive. And a few lurkers actually making it out from under the swarm and getting taken out as well. Eon Zerg losing quite a lot of his expensive units there. And another lurker is left out in the cold as well. And managing to take out none of Napoleon's force there as he pushed out. So he's lost a lot for very, very little exchange. Not quite sure why Napoleon isn't pressurizing bottom right at all. It seems a little bit odd that he's not doing so, especially given that it's so undefended. I thought he would have at least scanned it at some point. I'm not sure if he has or not, but either way he should. But Eon Zerg not being as effective as he could have been there. It's funny, but as soon as Defilers came out, he just suddenly got careless and threw a bunch of stuff away, and that's really not the way he needs to be playing this.
Absolutely, and you're absolutely right about he should be attacking bottom right as well. It's pretty obvious that that's where Zerg wants to expand. You should be scanning it, and it'd be a really easy target for just a small handful of... Well, not anymore. It would have been an easy target for a small handful of Marines to take out. Now it's going to take a little bit more, but still a relatively good target to go for. Napoleon is expanding to this mineral only up here, and Eon Zerg's going in for an attack. Where's the Defilers? 3 lurkers, 4 lurkers go down before the swarm does. And that... He's not even going to get a tank.
He's got pretty much nothing with that. A few Marines died, but really nothing. He's going to run into some mines in a second as well, and he hasn't got much Zergling support. In fact, he has 1 Zergling, which really isn't enough to be going through these mines. There is some Scourge on the way, but he's going to run them straight through Marine fire, so the science vessel in no danger right there. Eon Zerg being wasteful at this stage of the game, making a little bit of a hidden base in top right, but finally Napoleon's heading down to bottom right. He might be able to take this base out. He'll definitely be able to deal with the Sunken Colony, but it's all about whether the Nidus Canal can survive or whether there are any units to go in it. Some Lings are going to be heading through now, but those Lings still don't have... Do they have speed? Or am I going mad?
They have to have speed. They don't have speed.
Do they really not?
They really don't.
I was wondering.
He's researching speed. It's 20% done.
Whoa. Eon Zerg, this is a massive, massive oversight because and just throwing away lurkers in the bottom right as well. This is turning into a superb engagement for Napoleon, and he may even be able to get this base when he really shouldn't have done. There are 2 defilers there, but they might be taken out right here by this Marine strike force, which is an expensive mistake. I don't need to tell you. The Nidus Canal does get a swarm put down on it, but it still actually died, so I'm not sure how much that actually matters in the end. And Napoleon, whilst he's not able to take out the hatchery, is able to do so much damage to that base right there. And Eon Zerg has so little stuff. He's on 63 supply versus 124 for Napoleon. And that is a big, big supply difference. How can he even overcome that? And how has he landed himself in this position?
By throwing away lots and lots of lurkers. There's really nothing else about that. Speed has to be done for Eon Zerg now, and I actually don't know. Do you get speed or do you get crack? Because he totally could have gotten the crack upgrade instead.
But the thing is, the Lings will never get there to do any attacks if they don't have speed. That's part of what the problem has been. He's been rushing forward with these lurkers and defilers, and then the Lings have just been sort of jogging along as well. But it's not good enough. You need the Lings to be fast, otherwise you can't get close to the Terran force because they're not providing the adequate cover that you need. And Napoleon's heading down to bottom right again. I will be very, very, very surprised if he can't kill it. If he can't kill the bottom right bases with this particular attack right here. Finally, the Marines getting cleared out from there, but it doesn't matter because there's a whole new strike force coming in, which will surely be able to do the job. There is a new Nidus Canal, but so little for Eon Zerg to put through it. A dropship does manage to land in Eon Zerg's natural, but Dark Swarm goes down over the Marines, and they're all going to get taken out. Napoleon's going to do a little bit of micro, but they'll do minimal damage. Bottom right is looking like it might be quite screwed, though. Buying a little bit of time with some lurkers at the top of the ramp, and he might be able to do some good damage as the force of Napoleon comes up, but no, he will not. 1 lurker is not enough to hold that position. Napoleon finds top right as well. Eon Zerg is about to be dropped down onto a 2-base economy if he's not very, very fortunate or very, very skilled at defending this pressure. But either way, Napoleon is all over this game now. Yeah,
you know what? Eon Zerg's just having a bad game. This is certainly not up to the caliber of play we've seen him before. There have been a lot of sloppy mistakes, forgetting upgrades. His swarms have been off. His decision-making of when he wants to engage has been off. He's allowed a lot of defilers to die with swarm energy. It's just, I don't know, regroup and come back next week.
Yeah, I mean, he won't really want to remember this. This is one of those games where you don't even give it too much thought. You take too much time to measure up all your errors. So yeah, he's just going to have to go away and try not to think about what happened here. But Napoleon massing a huge army. He's got a small force holding in the middle of the map. There's a lot coming up to join it now. He's got plenty of Marines and Firebats and a few more tanks ready to go as well. Macro slipping just a little bit, going up to nearly 1,000 minerals, and none of his production facilities is actually working. It's like a ghost town in his base. And now everything's suddenly springing into life again, and all those minerals just drain away in the blink of an eye. Bottom right-hand corner has actually survived, much to my surprise, but once again it's been an expensive defense. Eon Zerg's had to use pretty much all of his army in his endeavors to hold that off, and his supply's only gone up by 3 in the last 5 minutes or so. It's not looking rosy for him.
Nope. And I definitely think that Napoleon's going to be able to finally finish off that bottom base this time around. Eon Zerg is now preemptively swarming, which is nice, but he's preemptively swarming on the run where Napoleon brings 8 Firebats, and the Defiler kills off half the Lings anyway. Pretty sure Napoleon is going to have it this time. Kind of interesting. He has 2 on upgrades and a lot of Marines, but at the same time, he's actually trying to lace some mines with vultures.
Damn, some mine hits going down on the lurkers there. The Lings now do have speed, but they were still behind the lurkers. They are going to manage to take down these tanks in the middle, but that is just the tip of the iceberg. We have 6 more tanks ready and waiting to go in the natural of Napoleon, and out they roll right now with a decent amount of vulture and science vessel support, and a big Marine Firebat medic force going to the bottom right hand corner as well. And I think, as you say, this is going to be lights out for this bottom right hand base now. There's no way he can hold this. If he puts every unit he has through that Nidus Canal right now, he still wouldn't be able to hold on against this. Nice swarm happening on a few of the units right here, but it's not magic swarm, it's just normal swarm, and so those units will still be able to chew their way through the base. Look at all those drones going down to the Firebats. That is brutal stuff, and really Eon Zerg is dead. He is dead.
Were you looking somewhere else, or did you mean to say plague?
Plague, that's the one.
Okay.
Plague.
Alright, good.
He played.
See, when you talk, I tried to like show what you're talking about, and I wanted to make sure that we were both in the same location. All right.
My words are wrong today. I don't know what's happened, but my words are wrong.
All right, Eon Zerg with 4 Ultralisks, but nothing to support the 4 Ultralisks, so they die immediately. Eon Zerg has expanded to the left center expo. Seems like it's going to be a pretty hard base for him to defend, as there's a decent mech count within striking distance of it immediately, and the Vultures may or may not go up there. I don't know if they notice.
Yeah, I think that vulture might run away up there, but running pure Ultralisks through mines is not a good show.
I don't know how Eon Zerg has enough money to build 10 Ultralisks.
I don't know how he does. I've always wondered this about Zerg. They always find the extra cash when they want to build Ultralisks. It never seems to really be a problem for them. But yeah, 10 Ultralisks. But that is pretty much his lot. You can see how slowly his minerals are coming in. 75 minerals, 156 gas, and barely going up whatsoever. So that's all he gets. And with them running through mines, I don't think they're going to be lasting too long. This top right-hand corner might lose most of his SCVs before he manages to save it. But nonetheless, I don't think it's the be-all and end-all of this game anymore. Napoleon is still mining well out of his natural and out of his third base too. Whilst Eon Zerg is mining incredibly slowly, and it's on those expensive hive-tech units as well, which means he's going to have to spend a lot of money to get any good return, which just isn't going to happen, and that forcing the top right nearly getting cleared up for Eon Zerg as well.
Yep. So, does stop mining there, which is nice. Napoleon has 2 mining bases, which isn't a whole lot, but it's pretty much what Eon Zerg's doing. I mean, he really hasn't repopulated his natural. His main's almost gone, so it's all coming down to the to the side base here.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
I don't know what to say.
Napoleon doesn't have like a big army, but he has 170 supply. It's just spread out everywhere.
He's got a ridiculous amount of supply. He's got over 100 supply more than Eon Zerg, so really he can just push into the natural now if he wants. Still doing a little bit of fancy radiate action. He doesn't want to have to take on an Ultralisk head on. And why would he, of course? Dematrixing stuff ready to go in right now. There is no possible way on the planet that Eon Zerg could hold this off at this point. He's 100 supply down. He has next to no economy, and his tech is pretty much useless. And yeah, he's about to lose his natural as well. So whilst he did eventually manage to get the third base up, stably running, it hasn't proven decisive.
Yep. So, GG from Eon
GG.
Zerg. Napoleon wins his first game of this Gambit Cup and is looking in a really strong position to seal this out for SJ.
Cool. Yeah. Someone just highlighted it. Splax just highlighted in the chat that this is actually old Ground Zero. Don't know quite what that means for us, but either way, let's press on.
It was?
I don't know. That's what. Oh, hi Dirty. Yeah, this is what that's what Splax thinks. I don't know if it's true. If it is, I'm sure Awa will be down on this like a ton of bricks any minute now.
I'd have to double check. I didn't think that I saw geysers in the mineral onlys. I just assumed they were mineral onlys. I guess I didn't really check.
No, me neither. It's okay.
Right.
It's okay. It's not for us to deal with. I mean, we're just the commentators. We know nothing.
Game's up.
I'm on my way. There we are. I like how it puts me halfway down. It's very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
I wonder why it does that. So many weird things in Brood War that it does that nobody can explain. Why would it put you halfway down?
I think...
Why?
I'm gonna guess because there are 3 people in this game, and for whatever reason the 3 people were in slots 2, 3, 4. No, that doesn't make sense, because the Observer wouldn't be in slot 4.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're starting this game.
Let's do it.
So, in the top, excuse me, in the top left, we have IFU Modesty. Modesty. There we go. As the brown Zerg. And in the bottom position, for our 5th game in a row with a Terran player.
It's getting crazy.
I don't think I've ever done that before. We have SJ's Napoleon.
Yeah, this is a memorable day indeed. Do you have a fancy intro for Napoleon?
I do not.
Good. I was afraid of that. Okay, but yeah, this is an auspicious day. We have so many Terrans playing in a row. This has been an all-Terran clan war. In every single matchup we've had a Terran player, so that's pretty cool. It's something we very, very rare to get to see. But will Napoleon be able to? Would this be the last game? Would he be closing this one out if he were to win? I think he would, wouldn't he?
Indeed.
It is 3-1 right now.
It is 3-1.
So that puts IFU right on the edge. So Modesty is going to have to do some pretty serious stuff. He's got to win 3 games in a row if he's going to be able to take this. And Modesty, whilst he is a good player, I think he'll have a hard time, especially after how dominant Napoleon looked last game. I mean, not that it was all Napoleon. Eonzog made a lot of mistakes as well, but still, he was looking quite on form after the initial hiccup of losing all those Marines at the top of the ramp.
Yes, indeed. Good to see that he is playing strong. And it looks like Modesty is going to be going for a 12 hatch. Good stuff from him. Yeah, I'm actually interested in what Napoleon's going to do. I don't think he's going to go 2 racks again. Everything went well in that game except for the 2 racks. And
well, I don't know why he'd be building an advanced position if he was going to 2 racks.
Yeah.
Or maybe he would, I don't know.
The BBS wall. So what he's gonna go for?
That would be pretty out there. That'd be quite cool actually. I'd like that. I'd enjoy it. It would please me. Therefore it should happen. If there is any particularly early pressure, I would think that Modesty's going to be able to deal with it. The thing about 12 hatch builds is you're not as vulnerable as you might seem to various things. I mean, you're vulnerable to very, very early cheese, but apart from that, the build's just that bit more advanced, so you can usually get pretty high level defenses out for any kind of early mid-game pushes quite handily. So he might be able to actually deal with anything fairly well, but I don't think it's going to be any pressure coming from Napoleon anytime soon. We do have the command center being put down. And I think a wall-in is a good idea. After the last 2 games, we've seen some pretty horrible stuff in terms of Ling run-bys and whatnot, so I think the wall-in definitely going to be a good decision for Napoleon right now. It just makes him that little bit safer. No more calamity.
Yeah, Modesty's not exactly the kind of player who goes for those run-bys, but you know what? Given how Jan-Zerg was playing, whoa, wow, I am misclicking a lot today. Excuse me for a second, I gotta reset my StarCraft window.
You're entirely excused. We have a 3rd hatchery coming in from Modesty as well, whereas before we had the 2 hatch muter happening from Jan-Zerg, I believe. Yeah, we did, just thinking about it now. But yeah, we've got the 3 hatch going on this time. So there's going to be a little bit of a bigger muter count right away, and we'll see how Napoleon deals with that. His expansion is going to be up well in time this game, nothing like last game where he was stuck on one base for really a very long while. Yeah, and it's just going to progress into the mid-game. Pretty standard stuff. Sorry, I'll be back in a second. I need to put my cat outside. Continue.
Alright. I'm pretty sure putting your... I'm pretty sure putting your cat outside is like English rocker code for getting a blowjob from a groupie. I think Elegant really needs to get a quick blowjob from a groupie. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure he's just, like, sitting there casting, and he is just, like, draped with beautiful women right now. From his amazing performance that he gave, which is why he was late. He was late because he was, like, trying to slog through the sea of women that were all throwing themselves at him. Yeah, pretty sure that's it.
I'm back. I'm back.
Good. You were, putting your cat outside, right?
Right? How do you make that sound like a euphemism? Yeah. I was putting my cat outside. That's exactly what was happening.
Yeah.
As far as you know, or anyone else. It's the life of a rock star, man. It's just the way I am. So we have a second, the second factory happening right now for Napoleon. It's going to be a more mechy orientated kind of thing for him. And throwing down the academy, throwing down the armory at the same time as well. So it is going to be more of a mech path. I often don't really like the way Goliaths work against 3-hatch mutas. I'm often not a fan of it. Goliaths just seem a little bit weedy by comparison, so he's definitely going to need some decent missile turret support. And for the early mid game, I just prefer the safety of Marines really overall.
Modesty got a really early evolution chamber. That's odd.
He did.
He actually, I'm pretty sure he started Carapace before he started the Spire. That's
really?
Yeah.
Is it a long upgrade? Is it a very, very long upgrade?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. It is a bit weird though, isn't it?
It's really weird.
I'm not entirely sure I can really explain that.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what kind of extra beefy Ling aggression he can do. But the first vulture is up for, the first vulture is up for Napoleon. Yeah, there's only one Sun calling down. Modesty has not scouted the factories, so so he hasn't thrown down a Hydralisk Den. There are a lot of Zerg players who like to throw down that Hydralisk Den immediately after seeing that their opponent has any kind of early factory play, just to be able to get out a couple of Hydralisks. They're really good for holding off weird aggression, either early Wraith aggression or early Vulture aggression.
Yeah. I mean, early Vulture aggression isn't really going to do anything here. He is going to be able to scout out the Zerg's third base, so that's kind of an open advantage, although he'd have assumed it was there anyway. The Vulture aggression really not going to be doing too much. The second colony is well placed. If he had Vulture speed, looking at it now, no, he's not getting Vulture speed, okay. But if he did have Vulture speed, he could probably nip right past and into the main and do some pretty bad damage before the Mutas popped out. The Mutas are going to be out in a second. But the Charon Booster upgrade is still doing, so these Goliaths not going to be too effective just yet, and he is having to make missile turrets up in his natural, as you would expect anyway. And that's actually pretty nice missile turret timing, just the Mutas leave the Zerg base. So Napoleon should be safe against this, and he's able to proceed pretty much as he'd like to. His Vulture's now heading back at the top right hand side again. I'm not quite sure what they're trying to achieve.
Oh, Mutalisks are going in. They take out one turret, but are going to be chased away with the Goliaths. Modesty waited quite a while for his Mutalisks to come in at first, so it means that Napoleon already has a pretty good Goliath count up. And I do believe range is done for them as well. I'm pretty sure I saw that finish. So,
yeah,
I don't know. It's going to be hard for Modesty to find any openings. That range, yes, range is certainly done. That range just makes it so brutal for the Mutalisks to go in. And I really do think that the Goliaths are able to scare off Mutalisks really well. And what I mean by that is the Goliaths don't do too much damage to Mutalisks. They have a relatively slow rate of fire, significantly slower than the turret, and only do half damage to Mutalisks, and that's not even counting if they have the Carapace upgrade. But it just looks like, with that many missiles and the huge smoke trail, it looks like so much damage is being done. I think Zerg players are more scared of Goliath than they should be. So,
well, the day I found out about how little damage Goliath did to Mutas, I was like, well, this can't be. Goliaths look incredible when they fire. Mutas look pathetic, but it really is the case. But look at that range. That range is really quite amazing. So that's more than enough by itself, pretty much, to see off Mutas, because they're just hit from so far away that there's no possible micro you can do to stop yourself being shot by these damn Goliaths, which have such an incredible range. And we have some Vulture action happening at the top right hand corner. They get all the way into the Zerg's third, able to take out a few drones, a few Lings as well. Any more drones going to the chop? No, it looks like no more drones going to be taken out, and the Muta's going to head over to the top right. But putting a little one more drone going down, putting a little bit of a crimp on Modesty's day, and 6 kills on each of those Vultures as well. I'm not sure if most of those were Lings or if a lot of those were drones, but either way, that's quite a significant amount of damage, and he definitely got his money's worth for those 2 early Vultures, which have been prowling the map since the very beginning stages of this game. And the Mutas can now head back, but an unfortunate little bit of a disturbance for our Zerg player, and Napoleon now looking entirely safe and not too far from being ready to actually make a move out.
Yeah. Napoleon has +1, so I mean, this is going to be kind of it looks like a little bit of variation of the +1 Goliath timing, but obviously much later than that is, and with quite a few more tanks. The tanks actually really aren't going to do a whole lot. There's not that many lurkers out on the field. There's not a lot of Hydralisks to deal with, so We'll see. I don't think that this. I think that's a strong force from Napoleon, but it's not really very good for attacking right now. I think he might be better off just taking a position here, like he looks like he wants to, and then taking a good, a well-timed third.
I think that's probably the best option. I mean, his window, if he does want to move out, it's still quite large, because against the mutas, when you've got a decent amount of Goliaths, the Goliaths do enough damage. He's got a few Marines mixed in there as well, but the siege tanks are easily able to deal with Hydras if you manage to get them actually sieged up, and Goliaths are not too shabby against Hydras either, with siege tank support. So he does still have a window, but Modesty actually getting quite big at this point, so his macro will be pretty worrying. He's got a 4th base coming up. He is really delaying his tech though, so he's committing quite strongly to a mid-game tech force as well. And Napoleon actually looking like he might be considering moving out. If he does so, he'd better be careful against those 7 museless position, not museless, lurkers positioned in the middle of the map. But if he can deal with those, then that's a pretty hefty chunk of Modesty's defense taken away right there. And finally we have Hive coming in for his own player. But yeah, that's pretty late stuff from Modesty.
Well, all the lurkers unburrowed. Very fortunate that all of the tanks targeted the same forward lurker. That was, with proper splash, I'm pretty sure that it could have killed all the lurkers in one single volley. But the lurkers will live a little while longer, putting them in a very savior-esque position here. Just trying to snipe out some reinforcements, make things difficult for Napoleon, and isolate that force. But it's a very large force that he's isolating, and he's going to have a really hard time dealing with this. He does have a force up at the top, but he doesn't have the defilers, and he needs to figure out some way, any way to stall long enough until those defilers can come out.
Well, he doesn't have the tech to deal with this at all. He really needs defilers to get this done. He needs some kind of higher level tech, because as it stands, then he's just going to get absolutely bulldozed right here. He's pushing down to try and take care of some siege tanks with his Hydras. Might not even be able to grab one with pretty much his entire Hydras force. The Muta's coming in from the back as well, but this is looking very, very easy to deal with for Napoleon. All of those lurkers slowly but surely going down. Only now 3 of them remaining, and they're looking pretty thin on the ground as it is. So basically it just remains for Napoleon to actually carefully siege his way up this ramp, and if he takes it easy and is just careful about the whole thing, I think he can really do this. And Modesty is in a whole bunch of trouble. This is a very, very unfortunate position for him. And just looking around his tech situation now, the Hive is done, but I don't even know if he's building a Defiler Mound yet. If he is, I certainly can't find one.
He just started in the main.
Starting in the main, okay, just starting in the main, but yeah, that's incredibly late. It's going to be a long time before Consume is done, and unable to even hold this big ramp right here. He's going to have to be defending against all these siege tanks on the flat, and I really don't fancy his situation.
I don't know, he's stalling. Napoleon has been very slow since he got up to this position. He hasn't made a whole lot of progress. Not losing units, mind you, but is it going to be enough time for the Defiler Mount? The Defiler Mount is just about done. It's just a matter now of how long it takes for Consume. But I think it's still going to be just a little bit too late. I don't know how the Natural can stand up to this many siege tanks at this point. They're just going to be able to kill things way too quickly.
I'm sure it can't stand up. That's a lot of Hydras, so if he tries some sort of dash forwards now, then he might just be able to do some damage. But all these Hydras are just milling around and are getting shelled from afar really quite horribly by the siege tanks, and he's lost pretty much his entire force right here. And Napoleon is going to steamroll his way in, and barring some kind of miracle, he is going to close out this clan war for SJ. IFU are looking pretty defeated at this point, with Modesty being, of course, their last hope. I just think he's overstretched himself a little bit here. He put too much importance on getting a 4th base up instead of getting that Defiler Mound ready in time for this. If you swap the timings, if you swap the Defiler Mound with that 4th base rather, it could be looking very, very different. But as it is, then he just had no answer at all to this huge number of units which Napoleon's come out with.
On the bright side, though, his units do have 2 armor, so that +1 carapace, keeping his units alive slightly longer.
Pretty good. Yeah, I actually did notice, weirdly, a Ling somehow just made its way all the way into the middle of all those siege tanks. I don't even know how it happened. A complete mystery to me. One lone Zergling running up the ramp and into all those tanks without getting hit once by anything. Very, very bizarre.
Alright. So, he does have Consume done. He does have a Defiler. Consumed his Zergling at full energy. That's fine. And here he goes, his one attempt to make things happen. Lurker dematrixed. Might have been a misclick.
Oh.
I think he's just styling. Irradiated dematrixed Lurker.
I think that's just kind of a get out of the game signal more than anything else.
He needs to unburrow. Oh, he didn't unburrow it. We weren't able to see the dematrixed irradiated Lurker. GG.
It's alright. We know it happened. GG from Modesty. And SJ able to take that clan war down pretty easily, with Napoleon Napoleon looking very, very, very dominant. And yeah, it goes 4-1 to them. So IFU really need to pull out something a little bit more special for the upcoming weeks.
Yep. And SJ able to get their first win of the season, trying to get their round back on track. And I lost my folder where I put my replays. So let me turn off the